You ever think about what makes people great at what they do, whether it be powerlifting, Olympic lifting, or any sport like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods? I watch these people play, and I watch them on different occasions on TV, and you see them approach the ball like Tiger Woods for a golf swing, right? And all I can think of in my head, I don't watch a lot of sports. When I watch him hit the ball, I just think he's going to fuck up. And sometimes he does, right? Or when you see Olympic weightlifter like Klokov, high-level powerlifter like Dan Green, you just think they're going to mess up. Or maybe there's a possibility that they're going to mess up with so much weight on the bar. And then you think about kind of what they do or what they've done to get to the point that they're at. Countless hours have been spent working out, lifting, sessions, figuring out their form, their technique, their skill, their flexibility problems, their imbalances, their weaknesses, their strengths, their training regiment, their fatigue levels, their nutrition. There's so much that goes in to being able to be the best. They figured out what works for them. And what I'm trying to do in this deadlift session is figure out what works for me. And as I overanalyze myself, which is very common, which can be a negative and a positive, I overanalyze myself, I get very frustrated. And with each frustration, what happens is I figure out, I find something. I get a little epiphany or a little kind of light bulbs that go off in my head. And sometimes I can explain them in the video like I am now. I'm not even explaining anything, but other times it's more like a feeling that I get as far as when it comes to positioning on the deadlift, squat, or bench. I learn something new. It's a little small adjustment. It could be like squeezing my hand a little bit tighter. It could be planting my feet a little bit harder. It could be bringing my feet a little further back in the bench or forward in the bench. It could be bringing my hands a little bit wider in the deadlift. It could be my feet being a little bit wider. All these little things. I overanalyze and I think and I think and I think. And essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to repeat the same exact pattern to get the same sensation, the ideal sensation to get the best lift. In this deadlift session, there was probably about 2 or 3 lifts where I felt like I was doing perfect, or I felt like I pulled it right, or I pulled it with the best amount of leverage. I think it was the second or third repetition of the 405, and then I think that was it. There was only one. It felt right. It felt almost right because I used enough leg drive and get my body behind the bar. The rest of them, I felt like I pitched forward just a little bit, and my position was off. And a lot of this stuff comes with practice. You just don't know how you're going to get better unless you practice, unless you figure out what it is that you're missing. In my case, I tend to yank the bar a lot. So what do I do to practice? You know what, the best thing that I learned is that I always do the best in my deadlifting is when I watch other people deadlift, people that are stronger than me. And it's nothing that you can really explain. It's really hard to explain. Sometimes I can explain it like I did with my squat video. Other times, I just find that I just see how they position themselves, I see how they grab the bar, and it's almost like I learn it through osmosis. This is kind of how you do things, you know? Think about reading something in a book and then trying to do it in real life, right? It's almost impossible. Can you ever try to read about doing a deadlift? I mean, I have. Mark Ripito, it's actually a pretty good one, explaining the deadlift through paper, but even then, if you've never deadlifted before, it sort of doesn't make any sense. But if you have deadlifted before, it has a different meaning depending on where you're at in your training regimen. And sort of kind of why, as I blabber on in this video and just trying to think about kind of what to do next or what to do better of, is that all I'm doing in my deadlift sessions, every time I lift, every time I work out, every time I get stronger, is I'm just trying to find that one little bit of information that will get me more pounds on the bar, to make it so that the weight is lighter or feels lighter in my hands. So I get the most amount of leverage out of my hips, out of my core, and position myself. And in your lifting, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do the same thing. You want to figure out what it is that you need to do to get to the next level. How do you make 500 pounds lighter? In any case, how do you make it so that you do 5 reps instead of 3? How do you make it so that you do 2 reps instead of 1? There's so many different ways, there's so many different variables, and a lot comes from training experience. And as I kind of share my journey with you, and as you watch this video, I appreciate that you're watching this, and click like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I'm just trying to, again, make this way to 600 pounds. Probably one of the most hardest things for me to do. And it's fun, it's exciting, at the same time it's really frustrating. So anyways, just kind of airing out some thoughts, sharing how I'm feeling, and if you have any suggestions for me on how to improve my deadlift, maybe you can link a video, because although people send me, sometimes will comment some suggestions about yanking the bar, it's kind of hard because a lot of the time you learn the best from seeing other people do it. So if you have a video of someone deadlifting that you think will help me, I'd appreciate you link it below. I know, who was it? Mike, thanks Mike, he sent me an article that really helped also. And then he also recommended that I have a similar positioning setup to Pete Rubish. And I can see that a little bit, but again, I still need to see more and more stuff. And some of these guys that are fantastic deadlifters, I don't get all the same angles, so it's kind of hard to tell where they're at. So anyways, thanks for watching. Click like if you haven't already, and subscribe. See you in the next video.